It's Saturday, the 8th of June, and let's take Harvey, the 1959 Cessna 310, up to Reno Steads Airport, the former home of the Reno National Championship Air Races, where today they're holding their volunteer luncheon for all the 1,200 plus volunteers that it takes to put that event on. And we're going to meet with some of the guys at the very top of the RARA organization, Reno Air Race Association, and get the story on what the future of the Reno National Championship Air Races is at Roswell, New Mexico. They're going to hold the first air race in Roswell, New Mexico in September of 2025. Let's go check it out.
Zach, by the way. Zach, Tony, great to meet you. Great to meet you. Cool. Yeah, sounds good. Oh, absolutely.
We're here at the Reno Stead Airport at Reno, Nevada with Terry and Tony. Terry is the Vice Chairman of the RARA board, and Tony is the Chief Operating Officer of the Reno Air Race Association. And they're going to give us the scoop about the future of air racing. So first, let's start with you, Tony. What happened to the air races?
What happened to the air races? Yes, well, that was a challenge for sure. Basically, in late 22, we were informed that due to various factors, lots of different factors, which included area encroachment, development encroachment from the outside, as well as future development plans on the airport, and then a number of other factors, that the airport authority was ready to sunset the event. They told us that their plan was for 2023 to be the final year, and of course, we were a little shocked. We knew development was going to probably push us out of here eventually, but we thought we had somewhere in the 5 to 10 year range before that was actually going to happen. So having it be a one and done was definitely a shock to the system. We spent a couple of months talking with them and trying to negotiate and work through things, and ultimately had to accept that 2023 was going to be the last national championship air races at Stead Airport. Of course, we were able to negotiate an air show in 2024, which we're working on producing now, but that's basically where that came from. And then we announced, that we weren't going to give up, darn it. We were going to seek a new location for the event in the future.
Very good. So air show will go on this year in October, but
Yes.
Just an air show here.
Yes.
And what are the couple of the big name acts?
Yeah, so air show only, October 4th through 6th, 2024. October 4th is a twilight and night show. It's going to be really exciting.
Mm-hmm.
And then Saturday, Sunday will be full daytime air shows. We have the Blue Angels, we have the Snowbirds.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. We have the F-16. We'll have several Warbird participants here. Steve Hinton flying a Bearcat, Dennis Sanders flying 924, and Vicky Benzing will be here with Plum Crazy, plus another 10 or so planes that'll be out. Stoll Drag will do some demos for us, so it's going to be a blast. It's going to be an action-packed 6-ish hour day on Saturday and Sunday. That's
Good. Okay, and give
Oshkosh equivalent, right?
That's right.
give us some of the numbers from last year. You said the economic impact, the University of Nevada did a study. How'd that play out?
Yeah, so we did our economic impact study with the University of Nevada, Reno. They're the same ones that have done it in the past. And they analyzed the attendance, which they came in at over 150,000, which I'm not sure exactly what our high is at any point in the past, but I know 150 is the number I've heard. So we were either at or near record attendance this last year. And the was 150,000 total. Our unique attendees was 113,000, which is unbelievable. That is a lot of people. That's individuals on site, not only counted ones.
And what about the economic impacts of the community?
On the economic impact side for the community, it came in at 158 million. So
wow.
Where in the past it had been around 100, which is phenomenal. We've always been really happy about that. That showing out by our fan base, by our vendors and everybody, volunteers and sponsors and pilots and you name it. I'm sure I'm missing somebody there. Just really, it was awesome. The impact on our community, we're so happy to bring it. We brought that to our community and for 6 decades. That's part of what we're so proud of doing.
So we did good enough last year to get some seed money to start over again, and the new location is going to be Roswell, New Mexico. So Terry, you went through quite a process vetting out where this event is going to go next. You explained to us how many cities initially. There was something like 28 or 38 initially.
38 locations initially asked questions about and expressed interest in receiving the RFP.
And then the RFP went out, and then the process got whittled down pretty quick to about 6?
Well, it worked its way down to 6, but in between releasing the RFP and getting the proposal responses, we had 2 bidders conferences. And at those 2 bidders conferences, there were 11 locations that attended. And then from that 11, 6 fully responded to the RFP request.
And which were those 6 locations again?
Okay, they were Buckeye, Arizona, Thermal, California, Wendover, Utah, Casper, Wyoming, Pueblo, Colorado, and Roswell, New Mexico.
And then you went out and did site visits to some of these various locations.
All 6 of them.
All 6 of them. And then what were some of the things that kind of eliminated some of the different prospects?
Ability to have the terrain available for all 7 race courses that we need, number 1. Number 2, potential for encroachment. In other words, did it look like a community was growing towards where the area was they were going to race airplanes? And other associated logistics benefits like housing, transportation, emergency services, etc.
And volunteers.
Yep.
So when we get to Roswell, what are some of the big advantages that Roswell has over the other locations?
I would say some of the big advantages Roswell had over the other locations was the fact that it had been a strategic air command base that housed B-52s and KC-135 aircraft. So the ramp space, the runways, the facilities were all huge in size, very adequate for what we need with respect to those requirements to put on our event. And it gives us opportunity to grow the business opportunities too, with more displays and demonstration by aviation vendors.
And big news to me today was that you're going to go back to allowing general aviation to fly into the event.
Yes, sir.
And so it'll be a lot of RV camping and airplane flying in sort of Oshkosh style, it sounds like.
Well, not quite that good yet. You have to grow into that.
Yeah.
But that's the way it's going to start, with the vision that we can get to an Oshkosh-like atmosphere for RVs and for flying airplanes.
Because how are we set for hotel rooms in Roswell?
Well, Tony, you probably better answer that than I am.
So, as we looked at the locations, everybody had different challenges, and obviously it's easy to look up and see how many hotel rooms are in the city itself. So there's, it's not Reno, but then no location that we were going to be looking at was going to be Reno, right? It's just not too many stead airports out there. So you're not going to have 8 or 10,000 hotel rooms in big casino properties available. So we know that there is a little bit of a challenge there, and it's one that we're working on. They recognize it, they understand it. The good news is there's awesome community support from the surrounding communities as well, the surrounding cities, that are another group of smaller cities, kind of similar, and they're all jumping in with both feet as well. When we did these press conferences, you had representatives not just from Roswell, but from the surrounding counties and the surrounding cities, and they're all eager to jump in and help out too. So between those other towns that are pretty close, and then the opportunity to put, I haven't really quite identified how many RVs we can put out there, but it's a lot. It's definitely in the thousands, whatever the number is. So we have a lot of really fun opportunities out there, and a lot of space to work with. So we're working on that. We understand the challenges, we're addressing it, and we're going to figure it out, and it's going to be a lot of fun.
And what's the terrain like at Roswell for racing? Is it pretty flat, high desert terrain?
It's flat, it's not rocky, it's considered very adequate for any emergency landings that have to occur, and there's absolutely very limited obstacles underneath the race course that have to be contended with.
And very little encroachment as well.
Very little encroachment.
How many runways? Do we got a couple more?
Two.
Just 2 runways at Roswell.
Yep, each plus 10,000 feet in length.
Good. It'd be a former SAC base, yeah. Yeah, what did you find out there with the community of Roswell that they were pretty enthusiastic about taking this on, huh?
Yes, they were, including their mayor, their city mayor. He happened to escort me to the airport one morning at 5:30 in the morning. And I thought that was pretty cool.
So they're very excited to have the event out there.
Yes.
Good.
The whole state is excited to have the event.
Wow. Excellent.
And we really saw this from all the communities. From those 6 that ended up submitting official proposals, they were all fantastic. Our site visits were pretty incredible, the amount of support we had.
As Tony said earlier, it really felt good to be loved.
Yes, it felt good to be wanted. A little different feeling, I assume, than you felt lately.
And we did a lot of site visits. I was trying to count them yesterday, and I couldn't come up with a number, but it's somewhere in the 8 range or so that we actually made trips out. And they were just fantastic every time. It's one of those things where it took us a year to figure this out because we had hoped to be done by the end of March. That didn't quite work. It ended up being the end of May. But it's, every time we turned over a rock, there were a couple more rocks to turn over. And better to announce a little bit later and get it right than to announce early and try to meet the time frame and end up getting it wrong. So we wanted to make sure we took in all the data and figured it out.
And that's what we were trying to do too. This is our first experience at looking for a new home, if you will, seriously. But we just had to make sure that we considered every important factor to do it right the first time and have an opportunity to successfully grow it in the future.
So it'll stay in the one location and not have to move around. And we're going to be able to support all 7 classes of air racing that we've traditionally done. And we'll also have a traditional Reno type air show along with the air races, very much like we've seen in the past. All right. And so this will kick off with a pylon racing school in June of next year?
Probably May.
In May of next year at the site Roswell. So they'll get the course designed, and then we're talking racing in 2025 in the month of September in Roswell.
We're in the middle of figuring out which dates are going to be the best for both events, both Pylon Racing Seminar and National Championship Air Races. So we're down to a couple of weekends in each of those months, and we're working with the local community to figure out, with other events and other things going on, what's going to make the most sense.
And since this is a new venue, everybody's going to have to attend Pylon Racing School, I suppose.
Everybody's going to have to become qualified to race at that location and the race courses that have been designed and implemented there. Yes.
Well, that'll be a big event in itself.
Oh, yeah.
And will that be a fly-in event also? Folks can maybe fly in for the PRS. Do we know yet?
No, PRS has always been a training activity. We don't really advertise it as an adventure for spectators to come and witness. And we would leave it the same way there.
Yeah, just keep it a closed event because there's enough going on and you've got a very limited amount of time to get a lot of folks up to speed.
Yeah, absolutely.
Very good.
Keep it to the volunteers and the pilots.
Good.
Us too.
Crew. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, right, exactly. We may be able to do that with volunteers. It's possible, but.
So Terry and Tony from RARA, but what does RARA stand for nowadays?
It still stands for the Reno Air Racing Association. We are a 501c3 nonprofit. We are incorporated in Nevada, and that is our business entity name. The event is the National Championship Air Races. So as we move forward, we don't know exactly how that's going to end up, but for the near future, we'll continue to be the Reno Air Racing Association. The event, of course, will be the National Championship Air Races in Roswell, New Mexico in 2025.
Presented by the Reno Air Racing Association.
Yep.
There you go. You got all that? We'll see you there. It's going to be a blast.
We got you every lap over 500, every